Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. This is Eve Moliva, Human Species Coach. Topic of the day is what is your definition of success? Is it based on internal or external validations? So let me kind of define the two. External validation could be anything that's coming from the outside of you. And you base your success on that. You must have that thing. And then once you have that thing, it equals success and equals peace and joy in your heart. Any type of external validation could be compliments from others. You are pretty, you are this and that. It could be having a nice job, having a lot of money, material things. It could be having a certain status, a certain popularity amongst your friend. Those are all what I consider external form of validation. And if someone's self-worth and definition of success is based on these external validations, and I would say that then they kind of this person waits to have this validation in order to experience peace and joy and feel worthy in this life. I started with external validation as being the most common because in the way we live in our societies, this is the most form of this is the most common form of validation that's out there. When we raise into a home, we get most of education from our parents. And for instance, myself, I was raised in a home where you get a lot of Christian values, love others, the Ten Commandments, but also values from our parents. Go to school, you must get a good job, you gotta have status, you gotta have money, and then you go into the school with your peers, and these values, external validation values, are reinforced by your interaction with other peers, and this is something that is shared. And because it's shared in a common as a group, it becomes a reality and it becomes something that is true. Another form of external validation is, for instance, someone that doesn't feel that they are pretty. They don't feel that way because they are waiting on an external person to come and let them know you are pretty. And unless they hear that, they think that they are not pretty. And this form of external validation, you can see how, like I say, this is the most natural form of validation that's out there and the most probably common. But you can see how this external validation can be almost put your happiness as a hostage because it's depending on those. If those are present, that means you're happy. If those are not present, you're not happy and you're not self worth it, you know. And as you can see, it's a very you can see that your I say your this form of experiences life based on this kind of external validation, you can see how it would affect your life experience. And I believe that once you're relying on those, you're not really tapping into your potential as a human being. You know, when we define success, a lot of this definition comes from things that we learn in school. I take the example of again of beauty, right? Maybe we see a model and we use that as a reference, and because they look a certain way, all of a sudden the definition of beauty is based on that we saw. And if we look something that is different from that, oh, we are ugly. And especially if we get a response from others where we don't maybe get complimented a lot on your beauty, then we start taking that as it's true. But as you grow up in life and really, in order to reach your potential as a human being, you have to understand that relying on the external validation to 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 actually experience your self-worth and your true potential is almost like building a house that is doesn't have a strong foundation. And and and, and you can see what will happen when you it doesn't matter when that house is built. It doesn't matter how nice it looks on the outside, how big it is, but if the foundation is not strong, then any type of bad weather is going to destroy your home because the foundation is not that strong. And that's what happened when, I said, you put your happiness and self-worth on maybe status and money and all types of external validation. You don't have a strong foundation in your home, in your life, and it's always going to be subject to these external roller coasters. But as you grow in life and you learn a little bit more about life, you realize that this your peace and happiness and self-worth is not depending on none of those things. And you realize that you don't have to let others define your self-worth or define success, which kind of make yourself depending on those. But once you realize that you define your definition of success, and a lot of time as you get older and you really want to see what's within yourself, you understand that success and even your self-worth is has nothing to do with these external validations, right? To me, I really define success in a different way today. When you wake up every day, are you happy to be alive? Are you happy that you see that person in the mirror? Are you a respectful person to others? Are you a leader? Are you a person that encourage others? Are you a humble? To me, these are my new definition of success. That has nothing to do with external or material things. These are very immaterial things. And you could be a broke person with no, you're not popular. You might be, like I say, no money, not popular, even ugly. But as long as you wake up in the morning and you have joy in your heart and you are kind to others and you are a respectful person, you're a leader, to me, that's success. So, really, when you base your definition of success or even self worth on internal validations, to me, that's how you achieve true peace and joy in this life, because your joy is not dependent on anything external. It's just depending on everything internal and the type of messages that you're sending yourself. And this video is kind of touched on what I said before about self-love and things like that. When you start to learn to appreciate yourself as you are, you know, and allow yourself to love yourself from as you are, that's when you tap into this internal validation. And these are the type of validation that would bring, like I say, consistent peace and joy, and that will last forever because this validation, you are in control of that. And it starts from love that you give it yourself. That's all I have for today. Thanks.